Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about something that is super fun, super scary, super hopeful, and also super full of anxiety, and that is, how do you choose what to write about? Something to write about, trying to find the story that you want to tell, trying to understand the message that you want to shout from the heavens. It is not an easy task whatsoever, and sometimes it can take you countless tries of random stories and random plots just to figure out what suits you. And it's not easy. It is probably, apart from the whole editing and publishers and all that super fun stuff, actually getting the idea to start the story is one of the most difficult things, even though writing the story is definitely the fun part, even if it is pretty frustrating, but it's still the fun part. So you want to make sure that it is good. How do you pinpoint that idea? How do you take a premise and turn it into a plot? How do you turn a figure into a strong character? How do you find something to write about? It is not easy. It is not easy. It is not easy. There are some people out there who are just like, oh yeah, the idea just came to me and then I just ran with it. And God, you people are amazing. Good for you. But for the rest of us, sometimes just settling on an idea is one of the hardest bits. So I thought I'd make this video, just throwing some ideas out there, just throwing some things that help me when I'm trying to pick a story and how I kind of settled on the branded series, and hopefully it'll help you, and I hope you make something amazing. A lot of my premises, because that's the thing, there is a difference between a premise and a plot. I have talked about this in a previous video. It was one of my earlier ones, so it's probably shit, but it is there nonetheless. A premise is not a plot. If you have... Sorry, I've just noticed that there was a moth in my house. If you have an idea for something that could happen, that is your premise. You have your, this could be a story. You need to let it grow and form and have a structure and characters and an arc and all the rest of it to become a story. But every question starts off with, and this is probably one of my favourites, it starts off with a what if question. Harry Potter. What if there was a school for witches and wizards? The Cogheart series. What if a steampunk world had advanced to a point where machines had a consciousness? Good Omens. What if an angel and a demon teamed up during Armageddon? They all start with what if questions, and that is where your story is really going to find its feet. For example, you could start small. Sometimes starting small really helps, and that is just looking around at the world around you and just thinking, what if one thing was different? For example, what if this world was exactly the same, but magic was real? Suddenly you have more questions to follow. How is magic real? What kind of magic are we looking at? Does everybody have magic? If only certain people have magic, are they in charge? If not, why not? How powerful is this magic? Are there limits? You have questions that you then can answer, and that builds and builds and builds until you've not only created a bigger what if premise scenario, but the startings of the world as well. It is just amazing what a simple what if question can do for your mind. It just... The more what if questions you ask yourself, the more of a structure you're going to build. Like, for example, going back to the magic is real thing. So you've thought of your what if question, you've answered a few follow-up questions, and now you're going to ask yourself, but what if something went wrong? What if someone decided that they wanted magic for themselves? What if someone decided that they wanted to give up their magic? What if the people in charge decided to do something awful to get rid of magic altogether? What if there was a rebellion to get magic for themselves? What if, what if, what if, what if? The what if is going to be one of your best friends during the creative process. Don't be afraid to branch out. When you first start, so many people just stick to genres you know, stick to genres you understand. And to an extent, I agree with that, because you do have to look at things that you're familiar with in order to create a foundation. You can build your confidence, you can build your skill, and then you can start tackling on genres that you're not too comfortable with. For example, when I was like 11, 12, something like that, I'm ashamed to admit this now, but I used to love the paranormal romance genre for, like, you know, the YA, oh, what will she pick? And I freaking hate that genre now. It drives me crazy and I am ashamed of myself. How dare you past me? But back then, when I was 11 and 12 and my reading was limited, that's what was available to me. That's what people in school were talking about, so that's what I was exposed to. But I did like the dark, creepy horror genre as well. So when I'm stuck reading stuff like that, and I try writing something horror-based, you can see how the two are not going to mesh. However, then, as I got older and I started branching out more with my reading and taking a look at different genres, my mind was blown big time, and now I can write grim scenes, I can write tension. I have written a scene that has brought me and one of my beta readers to tears, and I'm very proud of myself, but that is something that I could never do previously because I hadn't branched out enough. You need to branch out. It's scary, I know, but if you want to write in a genre, you kind of have to be aware of things that that genre holds. Sticking to what you know is good to start with. But at the end of the day, you need to make things your own. You need to grow as a reader and grow as a writer. If there's a horror genre that you're interested in and you want to try, take a look at different horror books just to see what kind of things people do to build tension, to build atmosphere, to really make your skin crawl. If you're looking for something a bit more on the softer side and you want to do a slow burn romance, then take a look at slow burn romances. If you want to do epic fantasy, read epic fantasy, because it will never be copying. A lot of people are worried that if they only write what they know, then they're going to be copying other people, and that is not the case, because every story has a unique twist to it. You bring that unique twist. As long as you're not directly, writing the exact same story as someone else, just changing the characters' names and stuff like that, because that is plagiarism. Don't be afraid to try something new. If you haven't read much in a genre that you want to write about, then give it a go anyway. It is all practice, and that's what editing and beta readers are for. You can really build on something that, yeah, you may not have the biggest knowledge about it, but damn it, you're trying. And the fact that you're trying and twisting this story into your own thing is amazing, and you will grow so much for it, I guarantee it. So yeah, picking a story, you have your premise, you're not quite sure where you want to go with it, you want to try different genres, try all the genres, okay? Even if you have this is a great fun exercise that I found. Have your premise, but try writing it in different documents as different genres to see which one really clicks with you, and some of them are bloody hilarious, I'll tell you that much. At the end of the day, no one is watching you during this. No one is looming over your shoulder. You haven't created something big enough to send to beta readers. You haven't, gained that, okay, I know what this story is yet, so I can start telling people about it phase. It is just you and the page. No one is watching, so have fun with it. Go crazy, write the weirdest story you can, so then when you look back at it, you can see why it's so weird, what works, what doesn't. You can whittle it down into something strong. Just go crazy, because no one is watching you during this phase, and that is probably the most fun part. Multitask, believe it or not. That is a great way to find which story you want to write, which one works for you. If you have multiple ideas in your head, try all of them, try everything, just go for it, because you may get so bogged down with one story and then realize, actually, this story isn't working, I made a mistake, I want to go do something else, but now I've got to do the process all over again. If you have multiple ideas, try and develop all of them. Go for it, because some will click, some will just really click with you where others won't. I have lost count of the amount of projects that I've had to put aside because I've gotten a few chapters in and then realised I have no idea where this is going. I had the idea, I had the world, I had the characters, and I thought I knew this is where I want the story to go. That is not the case. And now, after so much dabbling, I have found the Branded series. and I'm in love with it, and I know where it's going because I did try to write many things at once, which, yeah, it does do your brain in. I'm not gonna lie, it does do your brain in big time. But you do end up finding something that you do lean towards more than others, and that really helps. Please don't put pressure on yourself. Trying to find a story is hard. Trying to develop a story is even harder. You have character arcs, you have world building, you have the what if questions. It's hard, so please don't put pressure on yourself. If you've decided one day, I want to write a book, I want to write a story, but you don't have anything yet, you still have that drive that you want to write a story, and that is going to be such a big motivator. So just don't put pressure on yourself, okay? Things will work out, things will get there. You just need to experiment. People always say, write the story that you always want to read. And honestly, that reigns very true, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's going to be proofreading and doing some edits, and you're going to end up reading this story like 50 friggin' times, so you better make sure that you love this thing, otherwise you're just going to despise it by the end of it. And even though I'm not at that point yet, I can feel the burn rising. Picking a story is fun, but it is not easy. You have to experiment, you have to branch out, you have to start off on familiar grounds before you can take in new genres. You have to look at a premise and expand on that, because running with a premise just means you're going to trip at the first hurdle because you have an idea but not a structure. It's not easy. I don't have a solid answer of what you need to do to decide on a story. I don't know what ideas you have, I don't know your writing experience, I don't know how your mind works. It is all a very unique and personal experience. No one can ever tell you this is how you choose what story to write. It's just not possible. All I can do is tell you little things that I've done in the past to get to the point where I am now. And I'm not published. I'm not published. I don't know if the stories that I've chosen to stick with and the stories that I've fallen in love with to write, I don't know if they're going to be successful. I don't know. The future is a blank page at this point. But I have faith in myself. I am proud of the stories that I've created, and that is because I spent the time developing them. This, like when I first thought of the branded series, I don't know, it did start with an idea that I want to write a story idea. That what if I wrote a story thing, the good old what if questions. And then it sort of branched out like, okay, well, I like fantasy and adventure, but I also want to write something a little bit darker. Demons. What if demons were real? Okay, but why haven't people noticed them? Where are they? What can they do? If demons are real, does that mean angels are real, or are angels just a different kind of demon and this is just the name that humans have given them? Okay, what if this? What if that? And suddenly things started growing. And then there's, okay, so demons, that means, you know, there's going to be some heaven and hell connotations there, but are they called heaven and hell? Does that mean there's an afterlife? Ghosts? It just kept growing. And it's so simple when you say it out loud now, but actually going through the mental process, it is hard, and it took so long. And it's going to be the same for every other story. Some just click into place like that, which is great, but they are a once in a blue moon thing. So when it all boils down to it, all I can say is trust your what if questions, trust yourself, don't put pressure on yourself, and enjoy it. Just dabble, branch out, go crazy, write something that you know is going to make no sense whatsoever, just because it's going to be fun, and then you can fine-tune it later. The whole picking a story process is just word vomiting everything that is in your head onto paper, so then you can see it all in front of you and you can pick and choose what stands out to you. It's not simple, but at the same time it kind of is when you look at how you do it, but the actual doing it is hard. It's just trust your gut. I mean, if you want to tell people, hey, I'm thinking of writing a story, this is what I've got so far, then that can be a great opportunity to bounce ideas off of each other, but then that can do the risk of it not being fully your story, but that's okay because you need feedback. But in the first process of I want to write a story, what do I write about, that is all on you. You don't really need anyone else for that unless you have a co-writer, and that's a different thing altogether. I'm just making this more complicated now, aren't I? I'm gonna wrap this video up here. Basically, I don't have a solid answer for you guys, and I'm sorry. It is a very personal experience trying to pick a story. You just need to trust yourself. You just need to trust yourself and practice and just go for it. Sometimes it is like standing on the edge of a diving board and I have an idea. You're standing on the edge and you've bounced a few ideas around, you're thinking, you can see everything out in front of you, you can see what parts stand out to you. You just need to jump. If you decide after you've jumped that you don't like it, and you don't like it, you dabbled for a little bit, you've taken a look around, you don't like it, you can always climb back up on that diving board and try a different pool. This is a weird analogy. You just need to try different things, see what works for you, cling on to every single idea, write them down as soon as you can, even if they make no sense, go for it. Picking a story is not easy, but it is fun, and you can do some crazy things in your mind, so just run with them all, okay? You will find something that works for you, you will find that one diamond in the rough, and it'll be amazing. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, my scribblers.